Greetings and salutations, dear viewers. Get ready for some fantastic content. We're thrilled to present to you our video dedicated to 1979 Belgian Motorcycle Grand Prix. Enjoy! The 1979 Belgian Motorcycle Grand Prix was the 8th round of the 1979 Grand Prix motorcycle racing season. It took place on the weekend of July 1979 at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. As we transition, let's shed light on controversy and its relevance to our ongoing exploration. This race was notorious because the Circuit of Spa had gotten a new layer of asphalt after the circuit's original length was reduced from 14.1 to 7 kilometers. Because it was only finished 2 days before the start of the first free practices, there were a lot of problems. The FIM had approved the new venue 5 weeks before the start of the Grand Prix, but when Kenny Roberts made a promotional visit to the track 4 weeks before the start of the race, he noted that the road surface did not have a top layer of asphalt and that no guardrails were placed yet. During the free practices and qualifying, many riders fell off their bikes as a result. It turned out that a tar truck had spilled so much tar that even one of the steamrollers had slipped off the track that week, and that too much oil was also processed into the asphalt. As a response, the Belgian Minister of Public Works Guy Marfet mobilized many people of the Belgian Civil Defence to clean up the slippery surface with fire brigade, brush and sweeper trucks all through the night. This, however, did not help, and top riders such as Roberts, Sheen, Ferrari and Hartog negotiated with the organisation and the FIM whether they should or should not ride this Grand Prix. On Saturday evening, the drivers gave a press conference in which they announced that they had nothing against the organisation or the FIM, but that the circuit was not safe enough because too much oil was processed in the asphalt. Eventually, all factory teams boycotted the event after the Saturday qualifying due to the dangerous track conditions, which promptly enraged the tens of thousands of fans who already bought a ticket to see the race on Sunday. Once they found out about the decision, unrest and riots broke out. Angry fans tipped over cars and set them on fire, as well as the hay bales which were lined up on the circuit as safety barriers for the riders all through the night. Various fans had to be transported to the local hospital after various fights with the Belgian police had broken out. Jack Middelwood and Boat van Dulmen originally were going to start the race because they believed that a track is also slippery when it's wet and because they didn't want to disappoint the many fans who came to see the race live, but when Dutch supporters of Will Hartog, due to a lack of solidarity, threatened that they would throw beer bottles on the track when they would pass by, they also boycotted the race. In the end, Dennis Ireland would go on to win his only motorcycle Grand Prix due to all the top racers not starting the race. Without further ado, let's move on to the topic of aftermath. After the race, the FIM initially suspended Kenny Roberts and Virginio Ferrari as the largest rioters, and the Belgian Motorcyclist Association suspended 4 drivers, but the FIM Committee for Safety, Sports Coordination and Competitions converted the suspension into a conditional suspension and a fine, and the BMB followed that example. After the training sessions of the next Grand Prix in Sweden, the drivers issued a communique in which it was first reported that the fine would not be paid. In addition, a number of requirements were set for the 1980 season: full travel and accommodation allowance for the races in the US, Canada, Venezuela, Sweden, Finland and Spain. Additional safety measures at the Nürburgring, the Karlskoga Motor Stadion, the Imatra Circuit and Spa-Francorchamps. Under no circumstances a possible Grand Prix of Switzerland, even if it was organized in another country. An increase of the minimum starting fee by 200%. Adequate press accommodation on all circuits. At the end of each season, an election of 3 riders' representatives in the CCR Commission for Road Racing. On every circuit, a decent habitable riders' quarter. A few weeks later, 40 professional drivers, led by Kenny Roberts, presented a new organization and a new racing series, the World Series of Motorcycle Racing. From the 1980 season onward, the riders would not participate in any race organized by the FIM but only start in 8 races with 2 classes, Formula 1 500 and Formula 2 250. The prize money was determined by the drivers. The idea did not last long. Within a few weeks, Yamaha announced that he would side the FIM and, if necessary, to let Freddie Spencer race as a substitute for Roberts, and Roberts himself began to get doubts after Giacomo Agostini talked to him. Hard words were spoken during a press conference by Barry Sheene, Kenny Roberts and manager Barry Coleman. Roberts would never drive in FIM Grand Prix again, and all drivers who had signed in Silverstone for the World Series would go to court if they would start in FIM races. Those drivers were in turn tied to factory contracts and could be forced by the brands to drive for the FIM. At the beginning of the 1980 season, it was already clear that the World Series could only be found under the umbrella of the FIM passage, and of course the FIM did not give permission. In a meeting, Will Hartig was considered a coward because he did not want to sign for the World Series, but in the end Kenny Roberts, who was the instigator of all the fuss, had to bow his head. In fact, he even started at the Nürburgring in 1980, one of the circuits that had been deemed unsafe by the riders. Furthermore, the problems with the asphalt persisted, and the outcry of the disastrous 1979 race prompted the FIM to switch the venue and race at the Circuit Zolder for the 1980 season. This, however, was not a success, and the chosen venue for the 1981 season was once again the Spa circuit. Leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of this video.